Welcome to Daily Papers, the podcast where we break down the latest and most interesting research papers into something you can actually use.
And today we're looking at a paper that might just change the way you talk to AI forever. The title's a bit of a mouthful: Semantic Density Effect. Maximizing information per token improves LLM accuracy.
But the core message is incredibly simple. Less is more. If you want better answers from AIs like ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini, you need to stop being so polite.
Exactly. All those times you've started a prompt with, "I was wondering if you could possibly help me with something," or "if it's not too much trouble, could you please?" It turns out you might be making the AI worse.
This paper introduces something called the Semantic Density Effect, or SDE, and it's all about how much real, meaningful information you pack into every word you give the AI.
Think of it like this. Imagine you have two recipes for a cake. The first one is very chatty. It says, "So, for the next step, I was thinking it might be a good idea to maybe grab about 2 eggs from your fridge."
And the second recipe just says, "add 2 eggs." That second one has a much higher semantic density. It's packed with pure instruction, no filler.
The authors found that AI models work much better when you give them the add 2 eggs version. Prompts with high semantic density, the ones that are direct, specific, and cut all the fluff, get more accurate, more focused, and less made-up answers.
So why does this happen? It's not because the AI is impatient. It has to do with how these models work under the hood. They use a system called an attention mechanism.
The paper explains this really well with an analogy. Think of the AI as having an attention budget for every prompt you give it. Every single word, or token as the paper calls them, costs a little bit of that budget.
The problem is, filler words like maybe, I think, kind of, or polite phrases still cost attention, but they don't add any useful information. They dilute the core instruction.
So if you say, "Can you please tell me a bit about the French Revolution?" the AI spends some of its precious attention budget on "can you please," "tell me," and "a bit about." By the time it gets to the important part, French Revolution, its focus is already diluted. It has a fuzzy idea of what you want.
And a fuzzy input leads to a fuzzy output. The paper shows that diluted prompts lead to vague answers, or what's known as hallucinations, where the AI just starts making things up.
To prove this, the researchers ran a huge experiment. They took a bunch of standard questions and created 3 versions for each one: a standard version, a diluted version packed with filler words, and an ultra-dense version, which was stripped down to the bare essentials.
The difference is striking. For example, a diluted prompt might be, "What do you think about climate change generally?"
The ultra-dense equivalent? Compare CO2 ppm trends 1960 to 2024 versus global temp anomaly. It's incredibly specific.
Another great example is for a creative task. The diluted prompt is, "Write something creative and interesting for me." We've all done that.
But the ultra-dense version is 150-word noir short story, Detective Rainy Tokyo 1947. You know exactly what you're going to get back.
They tested these prompts across all the major AI models, Claude, GPT-4o, you name it. The results were consistent across the board. The ultra-dense prompts boosted accuracy by an average of 8.4 percentage points.
And for some complex tasks, the improvement was over 13%. This is a huge gain. And the best part, it costs nothing. In fact, because the prompts are shorter, they're actually a tiny bit faster. It's a completely free performance upgrade.
So let's get to the practical advice. How can we all start writing ultra-dense prompts? The paper gives some great simple guidelines. First, remove filler words and polite phrases.
Stop saying please and thank you to the AI. Ditch phrases like "I was wondering if you could" or "I want to know about." Just state your request.
Second, replace abstract words with concrete specifics. Don't say "explain briefly." Instead, say "explain in 3 bullet points" or "explain in 80 words." Give it numbers, units, and specific formats.
Third, eliminate redundancy. Say it once, use it once. Don't repeat the question or the context you've already provided.
Basically, you want to shift your mindset. You're not having a conversation with a person. You're operating a very powerful, very literal tool. Precision is key.
What's also fascinating is that this effect can be stacked with other known prompt engineering tricks. For instance, there's another principle called the instruction placement effect, which shows that AIs pay more attention to instructions at the very end of a prompt.
The paper found that if you write an ultra-dense prompt and put the main instruction at the end, the accuracy gain jumps to nearly 12 percentage points. The two effects are additive, which confirms they're fixing different bottlenecks in the AI's attention.
So the ultimate takeaway from this paper is to be dense, semantically dense, that is.
Be direct, be specific, and be ruthless in cutting out any word that doesn't carry essential meaning. The less you say, the more the AI will understand.
It feels a little counterintuitive and maybe even a bit rude at first, but the data is clear. If you want to unlock the full power of these AI models, you need to maximize the information in every single word.
That's all for this episode of Daily Papers. Try writing some ultra-dense prompts and see what happens. We'll be back next time with another deep dive into a fascinating paper.